Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Thrive Not Survive, where we get together with people from around the world and just share tips about how to thrive and not just survive during turbulent times. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Chantel Cox. I'm an author and transformation coach who empowers motivated women who are ready to break free from the bondage of daily stress and anxiety and really step into their full potential to create a life that they love. So I am so excited to be here today with Willita Cherie, and she is a mindset and personal finance coach for millennials and is excited to share about how to prosper during financial chaos. What are some tips you would have for us time to thrive?
I would like to share with you guys 5 tips for your mindset that you can apply today and use forever. And then I'd like to give you 4 personal finance pieces that you can start using today. So the first thing is for mindset is you have to stop worrying. I know a lot of people out there are concerned about what's going on in the world, which is great. We need to be concerned. We need to show empathy, but you have to stop worrying. And what I mean by that is take into control what you can control. Whatever you can't control, you kind of have to just put it to the back burner. The reason is because our bodies are not designed to live in a state of fight or flight, meaning we're either running from a situation or we are fighting back at a situation. That is only supposed to be used in an emergency. And if you find yourself constantly worrying all the time, you are constantly keeping your body in a state of fight or flight, which spikes cortisol, which is a hormone inside of the body. And it causes fat to accumulate in the abdominal area, which starts to put pressure on your vital organs. It also can increase your blood pressure. It can interrupt your sleep. It can interrupt your eating and just your mood in general. So you have to stop worrying and put things into perspective. Is this a real threat or is this a perceived threat? Whatever you can change those things. Whatever you can't change, you can't, like I said, put that to the back burner. The second tip I have for you guys is put good information through your eyes and ears. Never before have people been able to actually say they have time to do things. You have to organize your day, of course, because I know we still have some people work from home and some people take care of kids, but you need to put on your schedule time for you to grow. And what I mean by taking care of your eyes and your ears, read good books during this time. If you have problems that you haven't found solutions for, search for those in books. Listen to good podcasts. Watch things that are going to be healthy for your mental state. So if you are noticing the news is constantly making you fear, maybe you don't need to watch the news all day, every day. Maybe you choose a very small segment so you can stay on top of things. But when you feel that worry and that fear, you turn it off. So guard your eyes and guard your ears, read good books, listen to good podcasts, and watch things that are beneficial to your growth. The third thing I want to talk about is monitor who you are with and where you're spending the most time. And right now, we're all spending time in places like our home. So it's not like we're going out to the club or going out to the library or to the coffee shop. We're all at home. And for the first time, many people have had to face their spouses and their kids, something most people didn't have to do because they were too busy to really get to know that their family, because of the way society has divided us with our time. So I would say make sure you're nurturing your relationships. But also, when I'm saying look at who you're spending time with, look at how you're spending time online. Are you in gossip columns? Are you watching things that's causing fear again to spike? Be careful of that, because who you spend your time with and where you spend your time, you become the average of those people that you're constantly spending your time with. So I try to surround myself with positive people. I try to surround myself with people who are going in the same direction as me. I try to keep myself grounded with people who can keep me accountable, because you don't want to put yourself in the midst of people who are going to tell you that what you're doing is okay. If you want to go to the next level, you need people to tell you what you're doing that's not okay. So get you an unofficial board members, get a group of board members, people who are somebody who's gonna hold you accountable, somebody who's going to encourage you, somebody who's going to challenge you, someone who's going to be your cheerleader no matter what. You need to find a group of people because you want to stay positive. If you find yourself constantly being negative, look at the group of people you're around and see what they're talking about. And I guarantee you, you're probably going to notice that those people you're spending time with are being negative, which is why you're starting to speak like that. If you find yourself around people who are always optimistic, you'll find yourself being optimistic. So that's the third tip. Be careful of who you're spending your time with and where, because you become the sum average of those people. The fourth tip I want to give you is practice gratitude. In our world today, it is easy to say how bad things are, but I challenge you to change your perspective. If it's raining outside, don't get mad that it's raining. Be grateful that it's raining because crops can grow, which means you can eat food. If you just get laid off from your job, I want you to practice gratitude even in that, because if you really think about it, for most Americans, we don't even like our jobs. And so maybe this is your time to start that business you've been procrastinating. Maybe this is the time that you can write that book, or time that you can nurture your time with your family and your friends, your roommate. So make sure you are practicing gratitude. And what I do is every morning I wake up and I look for something that I'm grateful for. And if you can't think of anything outside of just being alive, that is a privilege. It's a blessing to be alive, because not everybody, especially now with COVID-19, not everybody is blessed to say that they have another day to live. So if your heart is beating, you have an opportunity. That's something to be grateful for. If you have food, be grateful that you have food and clean water and clean air. Be grateful for everything that you have, because 1 minute of, I heard this from Les Brown, 1 minute of being angry or having a negative emotion can suppress your immune system, and it can suppress it for 4 to 5 hours, which means for 4 to 5 hours from 1 minute of being angry or upset or sad, you can cause yourself to get sick because of a 4 to 5 hour time frame that you've now lowered your immune system. On the contrary, if you're happy and you're laughing, you have in 1 minute of just doing that, you can boost your immune system, and you can boost it where you're protecting and you're enhancing your immune system for up to 24 hours. So I say choose gratitude, because this is a time that we didn't choose. Okay, we could have been born at any other time in space, but we were born during this time, during this moment. Be grateful, because you may have something to bring to the world that you don't even know yet. So you need to tap into that. And the only way you can truly know your potential is if you are grateful for every single opportunity that you're given. And then the last piece for mindset is be a person of action. It's easy to get indulged in information, but we need to take action. Each of us are given a gift and a talent that we need to use. You can't just keep that to yourself. When you die, and we all will die, make sure you don't take those things to the grave. Make sure what you were supposed to give to the world, you gave to the world. If you are supposed to be an orator, a person who speaks, make sure you're using your voice. If you are supposed to be a person of influence, make sure you're taking advantage of that. If you are a leader, make sure you keen in on your skills so that you can be a better leader. Be a person of action. Don't be a procrastinator, because it's easy to procrastinate. But guess what? We're living in a time now that you don't have an excuse to procrastinate, because procrastination is kind of out of the picture. You're at home. For most of you, if you're watching and you lost your job, you don't have a job now to drive through hours of traffic and having to worry about the stress of that. So you have that time that you can now get what you need to get done. So make sure you focus on that. And now moving on to the personal finance piece, the tips that I want to give you guys are the following. So make sure you have a pen and paper, because you can start doing these today. The first one is create a budget. And a lot of people tend to frown upon that word because they feel like they're being restricted. But the way I see a budget is being a manager over your money, knowing exactly where each dollar is spending its time. The things you'll need to do in order to create a budget is first know how much money you're bringing in. If you have a constant flow of income, then you're in a good place. If you have some assets that you can pull money from, or retirement that you can pull money from because you've been laid off, then you have some sorts of money where you can tap into. If you've lost your job and you don't have any money coming in, this is a time to either create a business, get a part-time job, start a side hustle, or see if you can apply for a job that will allow you to work at home. So you need to know how much money you're bringing in. Then you'll need to look at your account. If you have access to your online banking, that is great, because what you'll do is look at the last 3 months and see which bills are fixed, meaning you pay those same bills every month. And for this time that we're in, I want to just offer you a piece of advice for how I would do it for this particular time outside of any other time that we've experienced. During COVID-19, the stay-at-home when the economy has been shut down, the way I would budget is, like I said, know how much money I'm bringing in, but I need to take care of my house. Take care of your needs first. So make sure you pay your rent and or your mortgage. The reason is because no, you can't be evicted right now. No, you can't be foreclosed right now. But when they lift that ban, you will still owe that money. So if you have that money to give, make sure you are paying on your rent and your mortgage so that you don't find yourself in a really tough place that you can't get yourself out of. If for some reason you're not making as much money, talk to your landlord. See if you can make smaller installments, so at least you're putting some money away until you're able to put more money down. The next thing you want to do is get food and water. Make sure you have enough food and water. So like I said, if a natural disaster were to hit, on top of the circumstances we're under already, you have enough water and food to sustain for at least, at the very minimum, 2 weeks. Do not hoard food though, because there are families out there that really need to get water and really need food. So get enough for yourself. If you have to make several trips to the store, but just don't hoard everything at once. And most of the stores right now are putting limits on how much you can get anyway. So after you know what your fixed income is, those needs, take care of those first. Once you take care of those things, then you can start looking at what bills come every other month or once a year or biannually, and decide if there are bills that you can keep or bills you can get rid of. Because at this point now, you need to start looking at where your money is going, especially if money is tight. Your needs need to be priority over everything else. You need to check your subscriptions. Now, I know a lot of you guys are at home, so it's kind of like a no-brainer. You need some type of entertainment, whether it's Audible, Kindle, Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, etc. But I don't think you need all of them. I think you need to choose one that you consume the most, and maybe for the meantime, get rid of the rest. And then lastly, you want to write your due dates down, because a lot of people are paying late fees for bills that come at the same time every single month. So make sure you know when your bills are due, write it on a calendar. And if you really need some help, put a reminder inside of your phone so that you're notified on that day. And if you got to make your alarm go off all day so that you can keep being annoyed until you finally take action, put it on until it becomes a habit of you paying that bill on time every single month. The second thing I want to talk about is your emergency fund. And the way you can create an emergency fund, even if you're not bringing in money at the moment, is a few things. Again, go back to the step where I said, look at your subscriptions. Cancel the ones you don't need. Whatever you don't need, take that money and put it towards your emergency fund every month. Look in your house. Consumers, I think they say have over 200,000 items inside of their houses. Look inside of your home and see what you're not using and try to sell it on sites like Amazon, eBay, and there are other sites called Declutter where you can sell your electronic devices that you're not using. Make sure you are taking this time to clean your house out, but you're able to make money. And whatever money you make, go ahead and put that money into an emergency fund. Another way is you can start doing deliveries. You can apply for a part-time job, or you can do a side hustle so that you can get enough money to put to the side. And so you might be asking, well, how much money do I need for an emergency? At the very minimum, $1,000. Because $1,000 can cover if you need to get unexpected medicine, if you have an unexpected visit to the doctor, if your tires blow out, if you need to get a repair in your car. $1,000 can take you a pretty far way. And so that is why $1,000 at the minimum is what you need. So try to use those strategies to create you an emergency fund. The last thing is decrease your debts. Now, I don't want you to decrease your debts if you have no income coming in, or if your job seems like you may be laying off in the next few weeks. Don't try to pay all your debts down. At this point, call your creditors and your debtors and ask if they can defer it for a later date until you are able to come up with some payments. See if they can reduce it, or if they can put it into forbearance if you have a loan, or deferment if you have a loan. Just make sure you contact your lender so that they're aware of your situation. If you have the money, I would say pay your minimum balance on, at the very least, pay the minimum balance on all your bills. If you're able, these two strategies that I'm about to share can work for you. So one is the snowball method. The way you would do that is write all of your credit cards, all of your loans, all of your debt down. And you will put it in order from the smallest debt to the largest debt. And on the other side, write down the interest rates to each of those debts owed. Now, the way the snowball method works is the smallest debt you have, no matter what the interest is, you want to pay that off first and pay the rest in the next chronological order. But what I mean by pay off first is you would put more towards that bill every single month, and then only pay the minimum balance on the other bills until that bill is paid off. The way the avalanche method works is you look at the interest rates. Whichever has the highest interest rate, no matter the balance, you would pay that off first. So let's use credit card versus a student loan. Credit cards historically have higher interest rates than student loans. So the way the avalanche will work is if you have a student loan of $100,000 but a 4% interest rate, but you have a credit card with $300 but a 20% interest rate, you would pay the credit card down first by adding more to that payment every single month and just paying the minimum balance on your student loan. So those are two ways that you can pay down your debt. But again, I don't want to encourage you to do that until you have all your needs met in terms of your bills and you have an emergency fund. If you don't have that, just like I said, talk to your creditors and then pay the minimum balance, but don't try to pay things off until you have those things taken care of. And then the last thing is you need to generate income. And the way you can generate income is a few things. Number one, I know it may seem impossible, but see if you can find a sales job. And if you're an entrepreneur, get really good at sales. Another way you can do it is find what your gifts and your talents are and monopolize on that. Another way you can do it is sell things that you don't need. But those are ways that you can increase your personal finance and prosper in a time of a crisis right now. All things that you can do right now in order to get ahead and prosper during this time.
So, Willita, for people who maybe are wanting a little more support with this, so, they've heard your amazing tips, they've taken notes, what would be their next step?
Well, I have a free course that I can give you guys, and it goes into the mindset piece. And the reason why I think you should start there is because, like I said, think about a lottery winner. You can get a lot of money, but if you don't have the right mindset, you can lose all of your money too. So I would say you can start with the free course. I'm going to put it in the chat. Start with the free course, and I really try to break it down into a way that gives you a perspective. Just put it into the chat. Give you a perspective of your mindset. So then you'll know from there which next steps you can take after you've done that course. And it shouldn't take you longer than an hour to go through the whole course. And it's broken into sections. So if you have to, for time management purpose, you can do a module every day for a week.
Okay. So, and if they want to dig deeper with you, so they can take the online course, and then like, where else do you hang out? How can they get in touch with you?
So nowadays, I've been spending majority of my time on Instagram. So you can find me at Willita, and it's Willita, Cherie, Cherie. That's my handle. So if you go to at Willita Cherie, I'm on there. And for the month of April, because April is Financial Literacy Awareness Month, I'm on there Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 7 p.m. And I am giving videos to show people how to do things to increase their mindset and actually practical things they can do to get their money to work for them in the right direction. So Mondays, I believe, is our book review. So I read a book, I do a review on it. I take all the notes, I do highlights, I create little challenges for you. So you can join the book club in that regards. On Wednesdays, I give you how-to. So I find things that people are really struggling with, and I try to create a video on how to do that. And then Friday, I would just say that's more like a free, whatever is going on in my mind. That's a free video of whatever comes to my mind that day. Because I try to talk about different things. I try to be strategic with that day, but it seems like Friday I wake up and then whatever I had planned is completely different. So Friday is just like a surprise, a mystery day. So you can find me on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook. I have a page. It's also Willita Cherie. And I'm starting a YouTube channel. I can't say is there yet because I've procrastinated with that and I've killed that spirit. So I have about 8 videos on Instagram, and that's you can find me on Build Young, Grow Wealthy or on YouTube.
Arla says, I'm a CPA. This is amazing advice. I hope all the listeners are able to utilize these tips. That's awesome. Alejandra says, thank you very much for taking time to provide great information. Awesome.
Thank you.
And then Willita, anything else to kind of content-wise wrap it up?
Well, like I said, I have free content on those platforms. I would say go ahead and follow me on those social networks, because in May, I'm going to open up my course for anybody who wants to take a deeper dive on a personal finance piece. So if you are interested in getting more information on the how-tos, I give step-by-steps. And like you, Chantel, I actually used to be a teacher for 6 years. So I am really particular on making sure I reach everybody's learning styles. And so if you join me there when the course opens, I don't think you'll be disappointed, because I take a deeper dive and I walk you through the process of how to get everything done so that you're on the way of where you want to be financially, even if you are in a uncertain time right now as we are.
Wow, that's amazing. And for anyone listening, I am a lifelong learner. And so I have taken a ton of online courses and done challenges and all kinds of things. I've just anything I can find and grab onto. And I can tell when that person has an education background, just the way that it's laid out, it just makes logical sense. You kind of, in the beginning, they're like, here's what I'm going to teach you. Here's the objectives to the lesson. And then it walks you through it and it makes sense. And then at the end, there's some type of, what did you learn? Like reflect on it. And then I've taken other courses, made like wonderful content, but it's just very like disorganized. And I'm like, what is happening? So I love it when educators step into the online world and use their knowledge. It just makes the learning as adults, like just makes it that much more easy.
There's definitely, I think, 7 different styles of learning. And most people don't know that. And so they try to make it one style fits all. And you can lose people that way. So I've tried my best to make it where I can reach people of all different learning styles. So if not 3 or 4 of them, if I can't reach all 7, I'll at least try to get 3 or 4 styles in my courses.
Alejandra, credit score building tips. Ooh, that's a good one.
Okay. So credit is, as you know, let me give you a story. Credit is important for these reasons. So when I was 18, everyone kept saying, you need to take out credit cards. You need to get credit. And so I went to the bank and I said, why do I need credit for? And the lady goes, well, in case you want to buy a house. I said, well, I never want to buy a house. Like, I like to move a lot. That's not good for me. So then she goes, well, I don't really know why you need credit. This is coming from the lady at the bank. So I'm a little bit more educated, I think, than she was at the time. And maybe she just didn't have the answer at the moment. But ways to increase your credit, and why you need to do that. First of all, it's for purchasing power. It's not for you to consume, to buy things that you don't need. And a way that you can increase your credit is, number one of the biggest components of your credit score is paying your bills on time. So how I said, making sure you know the days that your bills are due and making sure you have the right amount of money to pay those bills, that is like 35% of your credit. So you want to make sure that you have a consistency of paying your bills and paying them on time. The other part of increasing your credit score is you want to have a mix of credit. Some people have credit cards only. Some people have just student loans. But it's good to have a blend of credit. And I'm not saying go out right now and just start applying for stuff, but it just looks more attractive to your lenders to know that you have a history with multiple types of credit. So there's two types of people who have credit, or who they look at. One is called a revolver. So this is a person who doesn't pay the bill off in full every month. And then one is called a deadbeat. This is the person who pays their bill off in full every single month. Who do you think the credit card company loves the most? It's the revolver. The person who doesn't pay the credit card off or pay the student loan off, the one who has debt circulating every single month, the bank loves them because they make money off of the interest. So make sure you try to pay your bills off in full every month if possible, so that you can fall under the deadbeat, because even though it sounds horrible by the name that they give us, it increases your credit score because they look at your income, your debt to income ratio. So, or your debt to credit utilization ratio, I should say. So say, for instance, you take out $1,000 and you use $300. Well, that's, for them, you're a good person to lend to. But if you are taking out $1,000, but you're maxing out that $1,000, they may not want to lend to you, especially if you're not paying them back in full the next month. So a rule of thumb is try to keep your credit utilization under 30%. And this is all of your debt combined. So if you have student loans, credit cards, a mortgage, all of your debt combined, when you total it all up, you need to try to stay under the 30% utilization in order for your credit to positively be impacted. Another thing is you want to be careful of things that you're applying for, because they have what's called a soft and a hard inquiry. So soft inquiries would be like when you get those mailers from like the bank saying you're approved for a credit card. Those are soft inquiries, so it doesn't impact your credit score. Hard increase would be if you are applying for like 10 different loans over like 3 different months for a car and for a house and for a job, not for a job, but for a cell phone. So every single time they have to check your credit, it dings your credit score. So make sure if you are needing to buy a house or needing to buy a car, try to get all that done within a 2-week time frame, so that way it's minimized with how much impact it's doing to your credit score. So again, make sure you pay your bills on time. Make sure your credit up. Make sure you stay under 30% utilization. And now I just forgot the last one that I just said. Make sure that you be careful with the hard increase, that you're not applying for a lot of loans over a long period of time. And there's some other different things, but those are the most important ones that you want to make sure that you take care of in order to increase your score.
That is such good information. Alejandra had a follow-up question. She said, as business owners, business expenses might take us above the 30% of available credit. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. Well, my biggest tip with that is as a business owner, separate your money from your personal account. So get you a business account and get your personal account, because then they won't your business credit won't affect your personal credit. So that's the first thing you can do, is separate your business account from your personal account, so that way your personal account isn't impacted because of your business expenses. The other thing you can do is see if you can increase the amount of money that you can be eligible for. So even if you don't need it, just see if you can be eligible to have that, so that way it looks more attractive. So say if you have, I'll use $1,000. Say you have $1,000 worth of business expenses, and you only have a $3,000 limit on your total utilization. Well, see if you can get get up to $5,000. Don't get tempted to use that money though, but just have it so that way it lowers your utilization and it looks more attractive in terms of your score.
Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us. Thank you, Willita, for sharing so many amazing tips. Have a beautiful afternoon.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for joining.